We often think that interviews are something that we just kind of do, right? That we are giving someone else the full platform to just share their thing, and it's not going to actually help us build our business other than maybe bringing their audience into ours. But I want to tell you, there's a few ways that you can use interviews to actually grow your business, whether that's possibly using your interview to increase your network, using the interview to showcase your coaching. There are many ways that it can be a win-win for you and your interview guest, but you really have to go into it with a strategy. I want to share with you today what I learned about having just pretty much a strictly interview show for my Feed Your Business with Love podcast for the last 3 years, and how you can use an interview show to actually put profits in your bank account. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to the podcast about podcasting, where you guessed it, we're talking all things podcasting, but not just in a sense of strategy of how to launch, grow, and monetize your show. Of course, you're going to get that, but we're going deep into how podcasting can actually help you build your community, build your confidence, and if you're willing to lean deep into this platform, it can be the ticket to the life of your dreams, because it'll inspire you to go deeper, to get to know yourself. And as we know, success starts from within. If you are ready to stop being a ripple in this world and bust out your tsunami of change you know you were made for, it's podcasting for your soul. I'm your host, Jenn Dragonette, so let's dig in. Here's the thing with interviews. They can actually be the key to your success. I am a walking billboard for this. My main show, my passion project show, is Feed Your Business with Love, because I wanted to create a tsunami of self-love in business. Because again, remember, success starts from within. You can only be as successful as you believe you can be. And that starts with loving yourself, trusting yourself, and all the things. But in the beginning, all I did was interview. So for almost 2.5 years of that podcast, I interviewed. You rarely saw a solo episode ever. And here's what happened is, although I gave people the platform, I interviewed, I put the work in, I did the things, I also built a beautiful network. I built a network of people that believed in me, that liked me for me, that liked my messaging, that thought the tsunami of self-love was great, and they started referring people. So as soon as I started opening up my offers, these people were already in my space. They liked me, they liked what I was doing, and guess what? They purchased my coaching and my courses. So the power of having an interview can be beyond just sharing someone's space and trying to get their listeners to listen. Because here's one of the facts we don't think about is, unless you're interviewing them with something they've never shared before, their audience has already heard their story 1,000,000 times. So why would they come to your show to listen again? Why I'm talking about this is that yesterday I got the opportunity to interview John Lee Dumas. Yes, JLD came on this little show. You will hear from him on Tuesday. And what was really cool is we didn't just talk about, we began with some of the stuff that he's talked about on other shows, but I got something out of him that nobody else has gotten out of him yet. And it was really a cool conversation. So the last half of that interview, I am going to make the forefront of my marketing for that interview, because if he does share it on his platforms to his communities, it's a topic that he hasn't talked about before. I got something out of him that nobody else had. So then I can get people from his audience to come listen to my show. But the majority of the time, we ask the same questions. We regurgitate the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I talked about this with him yesterday. And that doesn't really build your network. Yeah, some of their loyal fans will come over because they want to show them some love. But realistically, it's not going to help build your podcast unless you do a strategy that makes sure that your episodes before really showcase what their audience is going to want. So the with the strategy for setting up interviews, you really need to start thinking about, okay, what is my goal for this interview? Yes, I want to spread a message that is a tsunami effect. It's going to take many of us to get behind the tsunami. So I love sharing other people's messages. I love networking. I love creating a space where everybody can come and find the person that actually makes sense for them. But the problem is that we don't think about, okay, well, what does that get? And you got to be honest, you want something out of it too. We aren't just spending hours and hours editing and putting show notes up and promoting and all of those things. But I'm really excited to share with you that, okay, here's some ways that you can use interviews to grow your show. One of them, you can interview someone that would be an ideal client for you. Showcase them, give them the platform, allow them to get to know you, to feel safe and heard by you. This also allows you to get to know their business a little bit better. This allows you to get to know what their actual stand for is, and it builds your network because now you've reached out and you said, hey, come on my podcast. You didn't say, hey, let's have a discovery call. So you can structure your interviews to be a win-win. It can be a sales discovery call / sharing your audience with your potential client. Talk about a warm, red hot lead, right? The other way that you can do this is you can use an interview to give your audience a answer to a question that you don't have. So if you have a question for someone that is aligned with what you offer, get them on your show. Then you're, one, not paying for coaching. Two, you're providing your audience with massive value. So there's a second way to do this. Just don't make sure that second way you're not using too often so that you don't end up dulling your light with everyone else's message because you want to be the expert on your show. The third way to use interviews is to do a coaching style. So I have these. You can go grab a podcast CPR audit where I give you 30 minutes of coaching in your business that I turn into a podcast episode. You have yet to see those yet because I'm banking those right now, but podcastcpr.com if you want one. And that's literally 30 minutes of my eyes on your business, deconstructing, creating some next steps for you. The cool thing about this is that you walk away with a win. It is not a sales call at all. I do not use these CPR audits as a sales call. I literally coach you. And if you really like what I'm doing for your business, if you see growth, you know what happens? Many of those people come back and grab one of my either masterminds or my courses or come back into my space in some way and purchase something because I've just given them 30 minutes of value that actually moved their needle forward. There is power in the conversation. So that's a great way not only to support somebody's business moving forward, it gives them some ground also because they get to share, okay, this is my business, this is who I am, this is what I do. Although it shows their struggle, it still gives them some free advertising and free coaching. So a total win-win. Again, podcastcpr.com. Why have you not gotten your free audit yet? And like I said, I don't pitch at the end of these. It's 30 minutes of my time and I just serve. I give you the next steps. And if you want to go further, then we've already created that connection. So the final way that I have seen people constantly doing this, and Jamie Atkins is one of the people that does this, it's called podcast closing. I am not fully versed in podcast closing, but this is kind of that same way. It's getting people into your show. Again, having that interview, having the coaching session, and then turning it into an actual sales call. I personally don't love that. It feels too salesy to me, but it works great for him and for his clients. I do think that interviews can go both ways, but the biggest thing with an interview is you have created an open connection between you and someone else. So even if they don't purchase, someone else might come into your space through that interview because they thought of you, because you gave them a platform to share their magic with the world. You gave them 30 minutes of your time. Hey, podcastcpr.com, grab that free 30-minute audit. I give you 30 minutes of coaching for free. You get to market your business because you get to share in the beginning of the 30-minute coaching who you are, what you do, who you serve. And then towards the end, we go through and we deconstruct what's going on and I provide you with some solutions. So it's a win-win. People get to see my coaching style. People get to see your business. People get to see me in action. There's a lot of things that come from those. Interviewing your potential client, win-win. Interviewing someone who can help your potential client, win-win. But I don't want you to just start going after interviews that are like, oh, this person has this many followers. And that's all vanity metrics, people. Stop with the vanity metrics. Start doing what actually sets you up to serve and to actually provide value. Provide that unique value. And I don't want you, when you're starting to interview, I don't want you to go too far off the rails. I see this happen all the time in my production clients, that they have a specific niche and they want to talk to somebody who's way outside their niche and they don't bring the conversation back to their micro niche. Those episodes, although they get a lot of traction in the beginning, it also confuses your audience. The more micro niche you are, the faster you're going to grow. So make sure that your interviews fold into what you're actually teaching and actually make sense. Got that? And if you have any questions, you know where to find me. If you want me to check out your business and see where your podcast is, how a podcast can serve you, where you can get a little bit more clarity so that you can reignite that passion and we can get that revenue flowing through your marketing. And of course, marketing with a podcast. So whether you have a podcast or don't have a podcast, ready to add a coaching course or some sort of offer to your podcast, want to start monetizing, that podcast CPR audit is for you. And again, that's podcastcpr.com. So go out, make today amazing because you are beautiful, you are wonderful, and you have got this. Guess what? Tuesday, the 31st, you will hear not just my voice, but John Lee Dumas. So I hope to see you on Tuesday.